Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Sean Ewing, and today is September the 24th of 2012. It's time to finish the third part of Expressions. Those who have followed for a while realize that I access and download information in several ways, but one of the ways that I express it is through the mind, body, spirit interaction modality. That's why there's three parts to every series. One is specifically related to the density concept of the body, one is related to the density concept of the mind, and one to the density concept of the spirit. Traditionally, the spirit concept will be a fusion of the two. So if you took the body concept of surrender and the mind concept of trust, what they fuse into is the concept of faith. And that's going to be the spiritual topic for today. Now, I'm going to take a moment to clarify, because I don't mean the type of faith that is advocated through religious precepts. That's blind faith. The idea that ultimately, in some way or another, your ability to perceive the nature of existence and your place within it has been flawed, and therefore you should accept without questioning, because you have a flawed perception, that there is something greater than yourself that is taking care of all of the details that are beyond you. Well, I'm going to take a moment to say that's absolute horseshit. There's nothing, absolutely nothing that's flawed about you. Actually, it's nonsensical to believe that such a thing could exist in a flawless creation. You would have to literally believe that the hydrogen molecule, like the hydrogen atom, is flawed. That when it becomes helium, it's flawed. That light in it of itself is flawed. That sound is flawed. These are all the constituent elements that make up just your flesh body. They are absolutely without flaw. They're 100% authentically exactly what they are. So the combination of them that has unified to become who you are functions exactly the way it's supposed to, so therefore it is by its nature flawless, without flaw, perfect by its own definition. If you choose to render yourself imperfect, that is an active choice on your part and not a precept of your creation. Faith, true faith, is a threshold concept. And what I mean by that is, if surrender is the coming to sort of the reality of the moment, and trust is the key, faith is the door that allows you access to what lies beyond. It is a interaction modality that gives you a way of interacting with life in terms of surrender and trust. It's a behavioral pattern. It's a choice to either operate under the understanding that the universe has fallen out the way that it was meant to, and that you operate as a functioning portion of that universe. See, I'm not telling you to place your faith in something, rather have faith in what is. Have faith that it fell out the way that it was supposed to, precisely because it was governed to do so by yourself. And also that you can choose how it falls out from there forward. And what I mean by it falling out, I mean the unfolding nature of this specific moment. Realize that that is all there is. Since the very inception of this version of the universe, all material has traveled through this one specific instant. All experience resides here. It is outside of time. So too are you. You never actually existed within time. You sort of dwell within time, but that's different. You can believe that you are your house structure, or you can recognize that you live in your house for a time and then you'll pass on. It's absolutely true. I don't care if you were born in that house. Even if you were born in that house and you lived there until you were 60, eventually you would leave it. The impermanence of the indwelling is a part of the universal construct model. So when you've reached the threshold, you realize that, wow, the universe is as it is. The threshold allows you to see what's beyond that. And then you have either two choices from there. You have either faith, which is the other's expression of living in harmony with the universe, or the self-expression of living in harmony with the universe, which is dominion. Absolute. But either way, what you have reached on the other side of the threshold is absolution. Because when you get to the threshold of the heart, the threshold that is the heart, it's the reason why the heart chakra is in the center. It's also the reason why there's a communication up from the heart up and from the heart down, but not from the mind down. Anyway, the absolution gets you to the point of recognizing the two, or rather the substructures of reality. I told you trust is one, grace is one, unconditional love is one, choice is one. All of these things are the bones, if you will, that the holograms are laid over. They lie on the other side of the threshold. To get there, to access what is on the other side of the threshold, you have to get past, or at least become aware of the locking mechanism of that threshold. A key works this way. The edges of it are specifically fitted to a tumbler sequence, meaning when you put the key into the lock, there's small grooves that it fits into, and when they're aligned in a preset manner, it unlocks, it makes a hole that can allow you to turn that lock and unlock it. Faith is one of the tumbler sequences that can give you access to the door to the totality of existence, to what exists in the higher echelons, the spirit realm, so to speak. Dominion is another, because you can, instead of using a key, you can blow the whole fucking door off. It is absolutely going to give you access to what's on the other side. And that's what I mean by absolution. It gets you into the frequency of understanding that what exists, exists of its own manner. What's for you to decide is how you are going to coexist with it, either as its sovereign ruler or as its sovereign representative. That's a path of self and others. There's several other choices to be made, but for now focus on those two, because if you can find yourself, or rather your harmonic representation within there, then you'll see the threshold that lies beyond that. This brings you to a realization that the smallest, the largest, and everything in between are exactly the same, or the inverse is exactly the same as the outverse, which is exactly the same as the universe, united verse. The inner portions of your own reality manifest and dictate the experiential outer portions of your reality, which inform the whole of the reality, with the experiences and the sort of wisdom that you gain from them. Faith is what allows you to approach that version of reality open to the experiences of existence. That is the main difference between the path of self and the path of others. The path of self is a contracted view of reality that is centered around the density model of self, meaning this body, this life, this identity. The other version is based on expansion and the dissolution of this body, this self, this identity. And one is open, one is not just closed, but hardened. Those are the two models that allow you to navigate and also shape, cultivate the reality in a harmonic representation of who you are. But keep in mind, that is all that's ever going to take shape. I would recommend that you use faith for a very logical reason. The path of self is being walked in almost every avenue of existence that is represented right now. Meaning, most of the people who have gained any position of power have done it by domineering other versions of themselves. Which means that there is a saturation in that. In order for you to gain a claim within that field, you would have to fight your way through an established system. However, no one's accessing the feminine construct model for crafting reality that is based on faith. So it's an untapped, a vacuum, so to speak, that you can create into with ease, because there's no one competing for space. There's nothing but space there. And more than that, there's more space to be had within that realm, because it doesn't require mass density. Alright, let's tie this all together. The totality representation, and the reason why I'm doing these specifically designated lessons, is not because my unique perspective is going to somehow elevate me to the place that I want to be. I exist exactly where I decide to be right now. What I've noticed is that within this dimensional reality, specifically on this planet, those who have come to an enlightened perspective have failed to understand how to apply that perspective, because for the most part they've dissolved their self in the process. So therefore all they can do is to sort of teach you about what they can see. Just like a parent can only teach you what they themselves have gained, so too is true of everyone else. If you've dissolved your ego, in essence, you can't teach any of the lessons that are egoic in nature, that are density in nature. If, however, you have gotten to the place where you realize that all versions of existence exist righteously, and that you've been constructed with all of them, means that you have a lesson to learn in all frequencies, then that means you don't divorce yourself from any version of self. Meaning, the density models, like the lower chakras, rage, aggression, survival, power, lust, pride, beauty, sensuality, are just as relevant as love, unconditional love, empathy, wisdom, perception, clairvoyance, totality, action. All of them are just specific range frequencies. None of them are higher or lower. It is all one sound. It's just different avenues of that sound. If you chose to focus on the higher range, the higher octave frequencies, it doesn't diminish the others. It might diminish it in your view, but that's your choice. They still exist of their own accord. It's whether you're going to acknowledge that existence or not. Once you've gotten to the point of doing that, then what faith allows you to do is shape it and know that it's going to take shape around your own desires, because it's you. That's the secret. Like most people have heard of it by now. You figure out what you want, and then you write it down, and then you put it out to the universe, and then you have faith that it's going to come, and you make yourself ready to receive it. They say you don't need to know how that works in order for it to. It's true. However, if you wanted to know, you should just understand simply that you are the universe. What you are communicating is what shape as the universe you want to take. And then you're having faith that you will, in essence, see to your own desires. See to them. Shape this world. I love you. Bye.